All right, hi everybody, this is Ms. Katz again, and today I'm going to be solving the end of unit study guide for my advanced class so that you guys have it at home and you can check it out. So we're going to jump right in. Question number 1 asks, what's the difference between a rate and a unit rate? Well, a rate and a unit rate, they both compare quantities in different units, but a unit rate has one quantity of 1. So in other words, they're both comparing quantities in different units, like miles per hour or dollars per can or books per week. They're comparing two different quantities. In a unit rate, however, one of those quantities is always equal to 1. We're always trying to find out how much for 1, how many for 1. Okay? Question number 2 asks us, is 12/18, is this a proportion? There's a couple ways we can solve it. First, we can try to simplify to see if we can get to the same fraction. So if I divide here by 6, I'm actually going to get 2/3. And 2/3 and 5/8, which is already simplified, are not equivalent. So the answer is no. But you could also use the cross multiplication method. So 12/18 equaling 5/8. 12 times 8 is 96. And 18 times 5 is 90. Since they are not equal, this is not equal. Either of those would be your reasoning for that. Okay, question number 3. Let me just make this a little bit bigger. We are going to fill in the missing pieces of the ratio table, so we're going to start with the relationship that we know. And the relationship we know is right here. We're going to use that relationship to determine other relationships. So how did I get from 15 to 5? If I started at 15 and I ended at 5, I must have divided by 3. 15 divided by 3 is 5. Whatever I do on top, I have to do on the bottom. So that will be 3. Now we're going to work this direction. Since 9 and 27 happen to be compatible, I'm going to use that. 9 times 3 got me 27. 15 times 3 gets me 45. Now 15 and 100 aren't all that compatible, so I'm just going to come back to this original, the simplified version of our relationship. 5 times 20 got me 100. 3 times 20 gets me 60. And there you have it. Question number 4 says that 19 is 20% of what number? So we're going to go over here. 19 is 20%. So they go together, which means they're both the parts. And remember, you've got part is to whole as percent is to 100. So the part here is 19. We don't know the whole amount that we started with. That's what we're looking for. And it should equal our percentage out of 100. Now, I always recommend that you simplify if you can. So since 20 and 100 share a common factor of 20, I'm going to divide by 20. So I'm going to get 1, and I'm going to get 5. Knowing that, I can actually use my ratio table method to know that I have to multiply by 19 to get 19, and whatever I do on the top, I do on the bottom. Remember, when we multiply, this is 45, carry the 4, 95. So W, our whole, equals 95. Okay, in question number 5, it's asking 30% of 400. So we want to know what 30% is. We want the part. We don't know that yet. So the part is to the whole, the same way that 30 is to 100. And again, in this case, I don't know that I'd simplify because the math is pretty darn easy here. How did I get from 1 to 400? I multiplied by 4. Whatever I do on the bottom, I do on the top. And so this will end up being 120. So it is 120. Okay, let me box this in so it's a little easier to see also. All right, to determine the missing value, we're going to use the same methods that we just used if possible. Again, I don't see a relationship between 15 and 9, but I can simplify here by a factor of 5. If I divide by 5 on top, I get 5. Dividing by 5 on the bottom, I get 3. 3 times 3 is how I get 9. Whatever I do on the bottom, I do on the top. So x will have to equal 15. That's the missing piece of the puzzle. All right, this number 7 asks us to write the rate as a unit rate, including the units. So I want to know, it was $31.50 for 9 tickets, but I really want to know how much it was for 1 ticket. And if you can't remember what you do here, you can always set up a proportion, $31.50 for 9 tickets, but I want to know, so if this is the tickets and this is the cost, $31.50 for 9, but I want to know how much 1 ticket costs. How did I get from 9 to 1? I divided by 9. And you'll notice this is also a division, right? That fraction bar means division. So we can divide. So we take $31.50 and divide by the 9 tickets we bought. Not 19. So let me just put a little line here. 9 goes into 31 3 times. That's 27. Don't forget to bring up your decimal. Bring down the 5. Goes into that 5 times. And it goes into that 0 times. So it would be $3.50 per ticket. All right, Marin drove 245 miles in 3.5 hours, and Danica drove 427 miles in 7 hours. We wonder who drove fastest, and then we got to justify that answer. Well, if we want to find out the miles per 1 hour, we're going to divide, just like we just did. So I'm going to actually go over here. I'm going to actually do it at the very bottom, so you have it, but so we have a little bit of room. 245 miles divided by 3.5. Now remember, when we divide decimals, there's always a decimal sitting out at the end of a whole number, but we've got to make sure that our divisor is a whole number, and I have to move it once. We fill in a 0 placeholder and float the decimal up to the top. 35 does not go into 2 or 24, so we're going to take it all the way out to 245. And I'm going to make a guess. So let's say that it's 35 times 7. Let's see where that takes us. That's 21 plus 3 is 24. Oh, it turns out that that's exactly it. 245. Don't forget to bring down the 0, and whenever you bring a number down, you have to bring one up. 35 goes into that 0 times. So Marin drove 70 miles per hour. Let's see how fast Danica drove. Oops, sorry, I wrote it up at the top. Marin drove 70 miles per hour. All right, let's check out how fast Danica went. Okay. So 7 doesn't go into 4, but it goes into 42 6 times. And then we bring down the 7, and it goes in 1 time. Oops, sorry, 7. And that leaves me with a 0 remainder. So it turns out that Danica went 61 miles per hour. So who went faster? Marin. Marin went faster because she completed more miles in the same amount of time. She drove more miles in same time. All right, and question number 9. Ephraim, the snake, is 3 feet long. Asia, the fish, is 49 inches long. How much longer is Asia than Ephraim? Well, to be able to compare them, I have to have some common unit. And since that doesn't give me that, we need to get that. I'm going to change everything into inches because it's usually easier to go from a big unit to a smaller unit. So 3 feet is what I know, and I want to know the inches. This is what I don't know. But I do know that 1 foot is equal to 12 inches. How did I get from 1 to 3? I multiplied times 3. Whatever I do on the top, I do on the bottom. So we know that it's 36 inches. So F from the snake is 36 inches long. It asked how much longer Asia is. Well, when we subtract these guys, we find that we get 13. She is 13 inches longer. As long as we're in the same units, we can easily subtract them. All right, the table below shows the number of tickets sold for each movie. I want to know what the ratio of 5 to 3 represents. First of all, I would look at all the options in the box, and I would see if there's any way to simplify them across the board. In this case, there's not. These guys share a factor of 3. These all share a factor of 5. These all share a factor of 2, but across the board, there's nothing. So we're going to have to figure this one out on our own. We know that we want a 5-to-3 ratio. So we need to find something that we can simplify down to 5-to-3. So let's check it out. Let's start with, we know that the top number has to be bigger, so let's start with 15 and 12. If I divide by the common factor of 3 here, I'm going to get 5/4. Well, that's not 5/3, so that's out. We need something that's going to be spread out just a little bit more than that. We know 30 and 15, 15 is half of 30. These are 1/3 of each other. So there's a whole lot of little options here. Let's try we're looking for 15 and 10. Let's try that one. Okay. If we simplify by 5, we're going to get 3 halves. That's not going to get us there. And try any combination that we want. 3 and 12, or 30 and 12. Let's try that one. If we divide by 6, I'm going to get 5 halves. And we can keep going and going, but guess what? None is the final answer here. There's not a single combination that's going to get me to 5/3. No matter which combination that we put these guys in, we are never going to get to 5/3. That ends the first half of the Unit 2 study guide for my advanced class. Stay tuned for the second half in a few minutes.